I got some comments recently asking about what kind of saw blade to use for a particular project, and I get how that can get confusing. It's pretty easy to get overwhelmed with so many options that are available to you when it comes time to look for the right saw for your job. You've done your homework, drawn up some plans, picked out a material. Now it's time to turn that raw stock into something you can be proud of. So what should you use to cut it with? In this video, what I'm going to share with you are 3 essential things that you need to know in order to pick the right saw for your project so it will come out great every time. At least the cutting part. Hey guys, Derek here. So for a long time I've used the program Notion to create what people call a second brain. And essentially what it is a place where I can kind of store all the knowledge that I collect, usually digitally, in one place and kind of organize it so that I can search it later if I need something, and then I don't have to remember it all. For a long time I've been thinking it would be great to put all of my shop expertise into one place, sort of like my second shop brain. My hope is that here we can pool all of our collective expertise and sort of raise everybody's shop game. So if you've got knowledge on a topic that we're covering, don't keep it to yourself. Put your expertise down in the comments so that we can all benefit. I'll make sure to pin anything that's relevant or important to the top. Okay, let's talk about saws. Today we're going to talk about 3 things: a blade's teeth, a blade's body, and a blade's kerf. And if you can understand these 3 elements, it will get you 80% of the way to selecting the right saw for the job. And trust me when I say 80% is good enough. So every saw has teeth, and teeth are essentially, well, one of these. The edge on this utility knife can make a cut into most material. But if I want to cut deeper, I have to make multiple passes. A saw is basically just stacking these blades in a row so that when I make a single cut, I'm actually making several cuts at once. So for example, if it takes me 3 passes to get through the cardboard with this knife, then theoretically, if I had 3 blades stacked one on top of each other, I should be able to go through it in 1 pass. I can't believe that actually worked. This thing is terrifying. Don't make this. Okay, the idea here being that by making fewer passes, you can save yourself time and energy, and that's good, especially in the shop. Now, what this means is that there is a direct relationship between the number of teeth that you're using to cut with and the material that you've chosen to cut through. When it comes to teeth, the rule of thumb here is, well, don't put your thumb near the teeth. But second is that all things being equal, the harder the material, the more teeth you will need to cut through it. Now, I know there's a bunch of woodworkers out there who are already typing comments about cross cuts versus rip cuts, and you're absolutely right. But in general, it doesn't negate the idea that typically softer materials need fewer teeth and harder materials need more. So the next thing I want to touch on is the body of the blade, or more specifically, the distance from the teeth to the back of the body. And this is important because that distance is going to tell you what this saw can and cannot do. In a nutshell, the closer the teeth are to the back of the body, the more that saw is going to be able to make turns. So for example, if you're going to say process a big piece of plywood and you want to make a bunch of long straight cuts, what you're going to want to do is find a saw that has teeth that are very far away from the back edge of the body of the saw. Conversely, if you want to make curved cuts, the closer the teeth are to the back of the body, the sharper those cuts can be, so you'll want to choose the blade accordingly. Now this is true for both handsaw blades and also the blades that you might use in a power tool. So the last thing I want to talk about is the kerf of the blade, and essentially what that is it's the width of the material that is removed by the cut. Now there's 2 ways you can figure that out. One, you can actually make a cut and take a measurement of what that cut is, or you can measure from the outside edge of the cutting teeth of the blade. And that can either be from one edge of one tooth to another in these offset blades, or like in a circular saw blade, it might just be the whole width of the tooth itself. Now there's a lot of reasons why the kerf is important. Helps to dissipate heat, gives you room to maneuver if you're making curved cuts. But most importantly, and I won't even call this a rookie mistake because I literally make it all the time. In fact, I just recently had a project where I was making beer tap handles for a customer, and I didn't take into account the fact that my chop saw blade removes about 1/8 of an inch. So I did all my measurements and bought all the material I thought I needed, started cutting a bunch of blanks, only to find out that I came out 3 short because I didn't plan for the material that was being removed by the kerf, and I ended up not having enough material and having to go back to the store to get more. The main thing to understand about the kerf that is very easy to forget is that your saw is removing some of the material that you're using. Now, in most cases, it's not very much, usually fractions of an inch. If you're making multiple cuts on the same piece of material over and over again, or if you've got a big project and you have panels that need to align up precisely, If you make a mistake and don't compensate for the fact that you're cutting a certain amount of material away with the kerf of the blade, you can come up short when you need that material the most. And those are the 3 things you need to know to choose your next saw blade. Are you going to be cutting something hard or soft? Do you need a lot of teeth or fewer teeth? Are you going to be making straight cuts where the teeth need to be far away from the back edge of the body of the saw? Or are you going to be making curved cuts where you need the teeth to be closer to the back of the body of the saw? And lastly, just don't forget about that kerf. It comes around to bite everybody, it's sooner or later, so keeping that in mind early on will help you to plan for your next project and make sure that you don't waste any of your precious material. Also, this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. Always remember to wear your safety equipment, put on those safety glasses, cover up your ears, and definitely wear a dust mask, especially whenever you're using the power tools. Choosing the right saw for your next project doesn't need to be a daunting task. As long as you understand these 3 essential things, you'll be heading in the right direction. Good luck on your next project. Let's go make something.